Imagine a roller coaster of a story between Finland and Russia. Picture this. Finland and Russia have this super long and kind of wild history full of battles and disagreements. Think of it like epic showdowns in a movie. So, way back in the Winter War, 1939 to 1940, and the Continuation War, 1941-1944, Finland was like the action hero fighting tooth and nail to keep its freedom from the big, powerful neighbor, Russia. It was like a blockbuster movie where Finland was the underdog, but boy, did it fight hard. On the flip side, Russia was the sneaky villain trying to call the shots. They used everything in their bag of tricks, armies, economic moves, and political schemes to try and be the boss over the cool Nordic nation. It's like a real-life drama, a power struggle between the two nations, and you can't help but stay glued to see who comes out on top. Hold on to your seats, folks. Big changes are shaking up the Finland-Russia saga, and it's turning into a real blockbuster. Brace yourselves for the latest scoop. Guess what? Finland decided to team up with the cool kids club, NATO. In 2023, they officially became the 31st member of this powerhouse alliance. It's like they've got the ultimate squad: United States, United Kingdom, France, and Germany, having their back. Imagine the Avengers, but in real life. Now, Finland isn't just playing defense. They've leveled up their game. Their military is like something out of a sci-fi movie, all high-tech and super modern. It's like they've got laser beams and space-age gadgets to give Russia a run for its money. But hold on, there's a plot twist. Finland isn't just flexing its muscles for show. They're eyeing Russia like a chess player eyeing a checkmate. What's cooking in the Finland-Russia tension kitchen, you ask? And what's Finland's grand plan to deal with this spicy situation? Stay tuned, because we're about to spill the beans on how Finland is gearing up to throw down against Russia. It's a showdown you won't want to miss. In recent weeks, some pretty wild stuff has gone down in the Baltic area, and it's got everyone talking. First up, Russia pulled a sneaky move, secretly helping a bunch of folks from Central and South Asia sneak into Finland. Picture this: a bunch of young guys from places like Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh crossing the Finnish border. It wasn't just a random thing. Russia had a hand in it, making the number of people go from almost none to nearly 1,000 in just days. Now, the spot where this was happening is a super sensitive area for Russia, so it's pretty clear they were okay with it. The goal? Stir up trouble and confusion in Finland, plus see how the European Union, EU, and NATO would react. But wait, there's more craziness. Imagine a massive Chinese ship called New Polar Bear chilling in the Gulf of Finland. This place is like a big deal. It connects the Baltic Sea to St. Petersburg in Russia and has important military stuff around. Now, instead of staying put, this ship goes on a 20-mile joyride, wrecking a crucial telecom cable and pipeline on the seabed. Here's the kicker: that cable and pipeline are lifelines for places like Estonia, relying heavily on the internet and energy. The Chinese said it was an oopsie, but seriously, a huge ship not noticing it's tearing up underwater cables? Many folks think it was China's way of causing trouble, especially since they've been buddying up with Russia in the area. Drama, right? In both situations, it looks like Russia and China are kind of teasing and challenging the Baltic countries and their pals, basically saying, "What's your move?" The reaction isn't so clear because these events fall into a sort of gray area called hybrid warfare. It's like a mix of aggression that's not super obvious for a full-on military fight, but it's not sly enough to just brush off. Here's the fascinating part. Russia and China, usually not the best buddies, are teaming up in a big way. Imagine them pulling off two stunts at once, both aimed at Finland, who recently joined NATO and crossed Russia. It's like they're testing how well they can cooperate and stir up trouble. Now, the US, the big boss of NATO, is dealing with a bunch of other stuff worldwide and at home. Handling two major conflicts, one in the Pacific and one in Europe, is a lot. Even if things don't get crazier, the fact that the US has to spread its attention and resources in different directions is a win for Russia and China. They're basically trying to shake up the way the world works, challenging the US-led order. It's like a giant game of chess, and the pieces are moving in unexpected ways. Let's dive into the next part of this wild story and look at what's at stake. The big question now is, how are the NATO countries countries and their buddies going to respond to Russia and China pulling off these bold moves? The NATO folks are already changing up how they patrol the seas, keeping a close eye out for any tricks from China. Because, seriously, when a massive ship like the new polar bear drags its anchor for 20 miles, wrecking important stuff underwater, it's not just a little mistake. It's on purpose, like a planned mischief. And get this, they've got the proof. They found the anchor, matched it to the ship, no mystery there. But surprise, surprise, the Chinese are playing innocent, denying any tricks. But the Finns and the Estonians aren't buying it. They know the score, who did what. Now, let's talk about why Finland got caught up in all this drama. It's not random. Russia has a history with Finland, and Finland's been through a lot. They used to play it safe, staying neutral to avoid messing with the Soviet Union and later, Russia. But here's the thing. Finland isn't a pushover. Remember the Winter War in 1939? The Finns stood their ground, fought like heroes, and gave the Soviets a tough time. They used their smarts, skiing skills, and clever moves to hold off the invaders. The casualty score? 20-1 in favor of the Finns. But when spring rolled in and the snow melted, they lost their edge. It's like a real-life action movie with Finland showing serious guts. Let's journey into Finland's epic tale, a nation that faced a tough past, but emerged stronger than ever. Picture this. Back in the day, the Soviets launched a huge attack on Finland, forcing them to make peace and give up some land. It was a tough time, something the Finns can't forget. Since then, Finland's military has been prepping for the day if the Russians decide to drop by again. They've built a rock-solid defense with forts, mines, artillery, and air defense. Plus, they've got this cool strategy called total defense, where everyone pitches in, ready to go guerrilla style if there's an invasion. Every Finnish guy even goes through military training and joins the reserves. Now, don't be fooled. Finland isn't some weak pushover. It's a crafty, tough country that knows how to pack a punch. With one of the most effective militaries in NATO per person, they've been teaming up with NATO for a while. They're not just sitting around. They've been on peacekeeping missions in places like Afghanistan, Kosovo, and Lebanon. And get this, Finland isn't just good at war stuff. It's a leader in cool inventions and tech, giving the world companies like Nokia, Rovio, and Supercell. Plus, they're top-notch in education, health, happiness, and democracy. They even dominate in winter sports, acing the biathlon where you ski and shoot. So, here's where it gets spicy. Russia and China decided to mess with Finland, thinking it's an easy target. Big mistake. They're totally underestimating the Finns, risking a major pushback from NATO and the world. It's like playing with fire, and things could spin out of control, leading to a massive war. The Finns aren't backing down. They're standing strong for their freedom and democracy. It's a showdown you don't want to miss. When the Finns are in the picture, they're never on their own. They've got a tight connection with their Baltic buddies, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. These pals share a similar story and culture, facing down the Soviet Union and Russia, fighting for their freedom, and joining forces with NATO and the EU. Together, they've boosted their economies and stood by each other in tough times. They're not just neighbors, they're like a team, partners, and friends. Even more awesome, the Finns have a solid friendship with their Scandinavian crew, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway, the descendants of the mighty Vikings. They've got a shared history, working together in fields like innovation, education, welfare, and human rights. These countries aren't just allies. They're like role models, setting the bar high and inspiring others. And let's not forget their strong alliance with the big players, the United Kingdom and the United States, leading the NATO gang. These countries aren't just tight because of shared values. They're like guardians, defending the liberal international order and keeping the world stable and prosperous. They stand up against regimes like Russia and China. The Russians, with their recent moves, have clearly messed up big time. Now, the big question is, what's Finland gonna do about it? This isn't a simple puzzle to solve because the situations are in the gray zone of hybrid warfare. Not clear enough for a military move, but too bold to ignore. NATO and friends have to weigh their options carefully. Maybe diplomatic pressure, economic sanctions, cyber tricks, or secret ops. They need to think about how Russia and China might react and avoid falling into the traps of giving in too much or going overboard. These incidents also open up some big questions about the world's future and the role of the US in it. How will the US handle the challenges from Russia and China, who not only compete in power, but also offer different ways of running things? How will the U.S. keep its leadership and trust among allies and partners who might doubt its commitment? How will the U.S. stick to the rules and norms it set up as they get bent and broken by its rivals? These are the big questions that the U.S. and the world will be wrestling with in the coming years. The stuff happening in the Baltic region might just be the start of a new era with big competitions and conflicts between major powers. What's your take on all this? Drop your thoughts in the comments.